Hello and welcome to A Taste for the Road. My name is Scott and welcome to Triumph Street Twin. So I think a great place to start with the review of this motorcycle is around the blank canvas that it represents for so many buyers. You want to dress it up or down, change it in some way to obviously, make it your own. It's just really a white piece of paper with which to do that. This owner is no exception. He has thrown quite a few Farkles at it, including some cans, which I no doubt you can hear, Vance and Hine Triumph numbers. It has been decatted as well. He's got some LED lights on it, some rear shocks, on the rear end from Fox, courtesy of Triumph, as well as a tail tidy and other little bits and bobs to make it very special in his own eyes. And it's hard to argue with the choices around how this sounds and how it feels. It really kind of amps up that energy level. Alongside all of the personalization options that you have with this, over 130 in the parts catalog, and interestingly enough, this model, which as many of you will know is the most popular in the Triumph range, 80% of all street twins, that roll out of a dealership showroom have at least one accessory on them, and in many cases quite a bit more. Transitioning to the looks, this thing has some really lovely lines, conservative as they are, but curvy, and resonate certainly with plenty of folks. I off camera was stopped for a minute moving around some GoPros and had two guys in different machines go ahead and stop and strike up a conversation, and at another point I had someone stop and roll down a window and say, "Hey buddy, nice bike," with a young guy probably in his mid-20s or so. The guys on their motorcycles were in their, I would say, mid-40s or so. Definitely resonates with an awful lot of people, and like the other Triumphs that I've reviewed, the T120 from last month and a few months ago, a speed twin, it definitely creates that twinkle in people's eyes as to what a motorcycle looks like and should feel like, and again, it's just an approachable thing where you get a chance to strike up a conversation, which is always great, particularly on a beautiful day like today. It's a Sunday at the end of August, low 80s, and it's just about perfect. Getting into the details of its looks, certainly the tank. This is the iron, forgetting the name completely now. Ironstone, there we are, is the color. It's a matte sort of brownish gray and quite flattering in the sun. The details, as usual with the Triumph range, is just wonderful. Lots of great material finishes. There's a few magnesium covers lurking around in this bike. The front dash here is also classy. No rev counter, but then again, this isn't about speed and about power. It's about how it makes you feel. Moving on to other bits and pieces, you can just see this thing is just dripping with extra detail, as a number of Triumphs are at this particular stage, given the premium brand that it is, whether it's the pegs and the Triumph brand that's on it. It really does lend itself to be, or feel like, a very quality piece of kit. Where the ergonomics are concerned, it's a very comfortable place to be. It's just a classic riding position. There are really almost no pressure on my wrists. Hello, gentlemen. My backside is very, very comfortable with this wide, flat seat that is also soft, quite soft. Has a little bit of deviated stitching, which is classy again in the sunshine. Pegs are also down and quite reasonable. Again, I could easily see why people could put a couple of 100 miles on these in an afternoon or in a day. Just cruising around as I am right now, going through a few bends and just simply having a good time. It's a comfortable place to be, and nothing feels too rushed. It's very gentle. The clutch, for example, is very light. The brakes also, or the brake lever, is a gentle thing as well. Everything on this bike has been rounded off to feel easy and unintimidating, which makes perfect sense after all. This is a bike that is very appealing to new riders and to those who might be coming back after a long hiatus, perhaps, after raising children, etc., and wanted a bit of a toy. And out on a day like today, and just don't need the power. They don't need to rev, they don't need their ego stroked. They just want to simply have a nice piece of machinery that feels premium, as this does, and yeah, just have a good time on a Sunday like today. So we are just outside the town of Marshall, Virginia. The human here could use a bit of lunch, and we're going to go ahead and stop at a place called Johnny Monarch's. So it's a double-decker bus from the UK that's been converted into a restaurant, most of which is outdoors currently, excuse me, and they just do a really nice job with some sandwiches, some artisanal gazpacho, other desserts and so forth, and it's a place you guys should know about. So let's go ahead and head over to Johnny Monarch's, have a little bit of lunch, and then continue on with this review. See you there. Well, that was a very nice lunch at Johnny Monarch's. They do a really good job. I ended up ordering their tomato pie and then had a side of quinoa and more tomatoes and onions and just on a bed of fresh organic lettuce. Just a really nice job. On a previous visit I had their homemade gazpacho and a whoopie pie, and they just do a pretty nice job, as I think I captured some good footage there. They also do a booze bus as well, although they covered the bubble decker, excuse me, and yeah, definitely worthwhile. I'll have a written review down below when this video goes live. And transitioning back to the Street Twin, let's go ahead and talk about this motor briefly, because it has come in for some criticism in the past. As some of you will know, in 2019 here it was upgraded with an additional 10 horsepower. Basically they pushed the RPM red line another 500 RPM up to 7,500. So we're now at, as I mentioned, 59 foot-pounds of torque at 3,800. And I think that torque number is significant too, because at 3,800 it's still pretty low in the rev range. And so if you're at peak torque all the way up to peak RPM or peak horsepower, excuse me, at a little over 7,000 RPM, you've got quite a range to go ahead and play with if you wish, even though there is no actual tachometer here, and I don't think actually needs it. As I mentioned earlier, this is a machine that is very much about how you feel and not so much about the actual power output or the number of pennies spent or dollars spent versus how much oomph you happen to pick up. Transitioning over into the competition, and again, this is a rather fascinating and broad-based one where you've got lots and lots of different bikes in this space depending on what you want to accomplish. So of course there's the cruiser segment here in the United States, Harley-Davidson 883 and the Indian Scout. You've obviously got a variety of different machines from Japan if you want, such as the Yamaha Bolt comes to mind. Obviously the big one is going to be the Royal Enfield Interceptor, and there are others as well. I think also, frankly, in the Triumph range too, we're at $9,500 here to start brand new without any discounts and whatnot. Pretty quickly you can go ahead and push it up, as most owners go ahead and add quite a few goodies. You could actually go ahead and get an 120 or maybe even upgrade even to a speed twin, which goes ahead and pushes us into the value conversation, which I think is also a rather fascinating one in this bike's case, because it is not an inexpensive bike, and it has certainly been criticized in the past for what it has to offer relative to that particular price point. But I think, as most owners will say, it's very much about that blank canvas and a template, and it's not about equating a certain number of horsepower with a certain number of dollars or the torque either, and that really what people are looking for is a chance to really express themselves. And Triumph, I think, has done a great job here, making it feel very premium indeed, with lots of lovely finishes, as many of you will know, and just thoughtful touches everywhere, whether it's the pegs that have a Triumph logo on it and have extra, just feel and depth to them, the lovely matte paint here and other finishes, of course getting the wires out of the way. There's just an openness in the cradling of this 900cc motor, and its chassis, you know, is just a very handsome setup, and I think should be celebrated for what it is rather than focusing exclusively on, again, what you might think, or some will think, particularly professional journalists, should be there in the way of horsepower relative to a particular price point. The fact that this is the #1 selling bike for them, Closer, by a very comfortable margin, and so many accessories being sold on top of it, just really communicates exactly what is so appealing to this, about this bike to its audience. So to sum up this Street Twin by Triumph, updated here for 2019, I think they've hit really quite a sweet spot. They fixed some things in the original from 2016 that were a problem, such as the front brakes, and the new front Brembo is much improved, and also kept all of the goodness that so many people really like. Again, white canvas that allows you to go ahead and make it your own any way you wish, with even a few things or a lot of items as well. The fact that it's such an easy machine to ride, the clutch and brake levers, the various other bits and pieces are just, again, so easy to use. This is a very, very unintimidating machine, and a great bike, I think, for beginner cyclists who want something more special, or someone returning to the sport after being away for a number of years and wanting, again, something special but isn't worried about the power. I think in the power department it does have enough. There's certainly enough going on, and the 900cc parallel twin here definitely has some soul and some character. There are the weaknesses, of course. I mentioned those around the tires and the rear sets, one of which you can obviously easily fix. But I think that overall, taken as a package, its looks and how it makes the rider feel, the fact that I've had so many positive comments today, whether it was at lunch or on the side and in other situations, people giving me a big thumbs up. It absolutely resonates with a lot of people of many age groups, and it's something that just makes you feel good. Admittedly, we have a beautiful sunny day with poofy white clouds and temperatures in the lower 80s. It's just about perfect, and there are lots and lots of people about and in a good mood, which is wonderful. But as a whole, I think, again, this thing just does so many things very, very well for its intended audience. And given the strength of its resale value, the total cost of ownership really is not that bad. So I think that just about sums up this video. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. Please give me a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe if you'd enjoy being alerted to new videos as they become available. There'll be written reviews of both the bike and Johnny Monarch's down below when this video goes live. Most importantly, please go out and create your own adventure, whether it's to see something that you do know in a new way or something completely new, and share that with us in the comments below. It's really important for the community. Please feel free to connect on Facebook as well as Instagram. One final note, as there may be people who will see this and be wondering what additions they might wish to place closer on their machine or be thinking about getting one. I would say #1 would be the tires. These Contis really do transform the experience here over the Phantoms that I have used or ridden above, below. New set of shoes would absolutely be my first change. #2 here would be these Fox rear shocks. They are excellent, easily adjustable for just one person or a billion, and just provide a level of additional damping and control that is well worth that. I think obviously the extra Farkles, whether it's these guys, the LED lights, and some others, are always nice additions and help personalize things at a relatively low cost. And then, of course, if you can spring for it, these Vance and Hine cans by Triumph, or for Triumph, the ECU kit, and obviously the DCAT gives this thing just a very throaty snarl. It is a lovely oral addition to what is a soulful machine, but perhaps a little bit too quiet for some. So with that, I will bid you adieu, and I will see you in the next video.